All right, let's start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachak Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is There's Many Reasons for the Destruction. I'm talking about Babylon the Great. And pretty much this lesson came through inspiration. Little meditation I was doing earlier when I was walking. I was listening to the elder Rakaya Kwam out of England. And he was going into, this one individual that's a Muslim, Ishmael. He might be a Jake, and he was pretty much going into the depravity of America and how they pretty much train these women how to be immoral by, showing them on TV, and magazines and different things like that, videos of what it is that is required of these women, and how to be beautiful. And it's pretty much by showing off more skin and, so on and so forth. So pretty much it's just a total immoral way of being. And at one time, America wasn't like that. You would get arrested if you didn't have enough clothes on. There's laws on that. I don't really know all of the laws concerning that. But there was laws where if a woman wasn't dressed properly, she would get, arrested for indecency. Same thing with men, whatever the case may be. But those so-called values, have been declining. They've been on decline for the longest. And what they don't understand is that America has been in decay for a long period of time, and this is part of what's bringing the end of America and bringing about, the decline of this place called America. Now, they claim that this place was built upon Christian Judeo principles, which at one time it was just for Esau, but they did have some semblance of the Most High, so to speak, and laws in this society, which you had, I believe they were called the Blue Laws, which, they wouldn't sell anything on a Sunday, everything would be closed because that was done in observance what they believed to be the Sabbath, which was on a Sunday. And that no longer is the case. Women used to be, even when women went on the beach, they would be dressed a certain way and covered up, but in this society today, you could see the total degeneracy from back then to now. And that's just one of the many reasons why America is going to be destroyed. It's on a downward decline, and pretty much the Lord is about to bring judgment and set fire upon this place called America. Yep, skirt covering the ankles. Yep, skirts. Yeah, that's true. Skirts will cover the ankle. You want to have that cleavage showing. Everything was covered up. Women would have bonnets on their head, covered up. Everything would be covered up, as per the scriptures, because they believed that they were, Christo Judean, so-called Christo Judean society, so to speak. And now all of these nations are starting to see the depravity of this place, and that's why the Lord said He would spew shameful spewing on your glory. I'm going to highlight that real quick, and then hit this first precept. That's the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, and verse 15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him. Yeah, and this drink that it's talking about, these false philosophies that Esau pushes upon the world. We're going to get into that, Lord's will, in the next precept. It says, and maketh him drunken also. And that's what's happening. They're pushing these immoral values on the world through the leadership of these other nations, and the leaders of this other nation, along with America, are corrupting the values of these um, people of these other nations that had somewhat of a moral, standing. I go for a walk, and on the trail that I go on, you have, sometimes you have Elamite women and Moabite women walking, and you could see them, that the shit that they wear here, they wouldn't be able to get away with in their country. They would be shamed, they would be beaten, they would probably be deleted for doing that. Here it is, it's cold, it's getting cold as shit, and they're wearing little mini skirts with their legs hanging out, and just total immoral for a woman to be that way, scantily clad, as Elder Apostle Gabar puts it. It says that thou mayest look on their nakedness, and that's why they do it, because the scriptures call Esau the accuser of thy brethren, and he knows that by constantly causing Jake to go off, that causes the Most High to get further and further away from Jake, and the nations knew that. That's why Achior the Ammonite said that to the king. I believe that was an Assyrian king, if I'm not mistaken. And pretty much he said, look, as long as the Israelites are in tune with their power, there's nothing you could do against them. But the moment that they step out of line and they start doing things contrary to his laws, then he withdraws from them, and then you can step in there. So these devils have done that, So it says, thou art filled with shame for glory. Yeah, because the world knows how you took away, this land from Gad, Reuben, and Issachar, so-called, North American Indians, Seminole Indians, and the so-called Mexican Indians. The world knows how you did that. They know that you did that, by force. And and then they know how you brought the so-called Negroes, which is the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, over to this side of the world, in slavery. And this is why you're trying to erase a lot of that history. And by you controlling the search engines on the internet, it's allowing, you to control the flow of information that's going out there, to where you're putting so-called fact checkers out there and denying a lot of the stuff that is true. You go and check out some sources of different things that are true, and they'll say, nope, that's not true, that's false, that never happened, and this, so they're controlling that because they know that this history is shameful to them. They know it, especially beginning with Amalek, which is the head of, those are the small hats, which is the head of the Edomite nation. They're the top of the Edomite nation, and pretty much they have been, the leading demons, for lack of better words, in the pushing of this immoral state on the world. So it says, thou art filled with shame for glory. Yeah, because your glory, when you look at the status that you're in now, talking about you Edomites, beginning with the banking family, international banking families on down. When you look at your status in the world, you have the top position, but what you did to get there is shameful. It says, drink thou also, right? Because you're going to drink from the cup. And then don't the scripture say you shall reap what you sow? So drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered, meaning let your shame be shown to the world. It says the cup of the Lord's right hand, which is what? His prophets, his word, shall be turned unto thee. And that's what's happening, because before this society really started to decline, the prophets were out here, and the prophets are out here. So the Lord's right hand is being turned upon you. And this is how the world also is finding out about your immorality, your, despicable ways that you've manipulated and have gotten, such fortunes into your treasury. It says, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. That's why the scriptures say in Isaiah 14, matter of fact, let's get that real quick and then we'll go to the other precept. Isaiah 14:4, and thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. This is America. You know, the king of Babylon would represent the so-called president, you know, and pretty much it's really, if you really want to get technical and deeper into it, it's really dealing with the shadow government, for lack of better words. No, because the president is nothing more than the puppet that sits in the front that runs this corporation. Just like you have any corporation out there, you have presidents and vice presidents in there, you know, but the higher ups, the ones that are running things, you know, like individuals that own BlackRock and Vanguard and, you know, State Street, you know, these are the top that are running things. And behind the scenes, you have international bankers that are running that. So America, which is a corporation, is being run by the so-called elite. Okay. So this message is really to them, you know, because these presidents, vice presidents, senators, mayors, and all of that, they're nothing more than puppets. You know, they're nothing more than the security force or the slaves, the higher paid slaves that are running the corporation for the international bankers, who are the true masters, you know, of this society and of this corporation. And say, how have the oppressors ceased? The golden city ceased. And that's what's happening right now. The Lord's right hand is being turned unto them, which are the prophets telling them, and then shameful spewing is being brought upon their glory, because the first step before the destruction of these devils is to be revealed for who they truly are, as it tells us in the book of 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter and the 8th verse, that before the Lord brings judgment, he reveals these devils first, and then he brings the judgment. So as we've been saying for a long time, we're in the sentencing stage right now. They did the crime. They've been brought up on charges. You know, they've been, you know, found guilty. And now they're going through the sentencing stage. Once you finish the sentencing stage, which is telling them, you know, what their punishment is going to be for the crimes that they committed, then comes the judgment part, which is when the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai first and foremost destroys his society, and then begins the reparation part, where they go into slavery and captivity and have to pay for everything that they've done. Okay, so let's go from there to the book of, well, before we go to Revelation 17, I have this article that I put in the description box. It's called, this is dated June 9th, 2023, which is last year, almost a year ago. It says, views of state of moral values in U.S. at new low, right? So it says, the story highlights is 54% say the state of moral values in U.S. is poor. 33% only fair. 83% think U.S. moral values are getting worse, and they are getting worse, because the people that are running it, that are the, you know, the rulers of this society behind the scenes, they're immoral, they're evil, they're wicked, and they're pushing the world to be like them, right? And it says 74% of Republicans say moral values are poor. 97% think they are worsening. So even the so-called nobles that run this government, even they, you know, are at an all-time high of saying that the moral values are poor, and then they're getting worse, right? So it says Washington, D.C., Americans already poor ratings of the state of moral values in the U.S. have fallen further to the lowest points in Gallup's 22-year trend. The 54% of U.S. adults who rate moral values in the country as poor marks a 4 percentage point increase since last year, which was 2022. This is 2023. And so how much more today? And the first time the reading has reached the majority level. Another 33% of Americans think U.S. moral values are only fair, 10% good, and 1% excellent. Which these individuals are out of their fucking mind. You know, these are probably like the retards, the zombies that are saying something of this And 33% are bugged out anyway because they're saying that the moral values are fair. They're not fair. You know, what the hell are you comparing it to? Right? Salakia. Satan jumping on everything. It says America's views of the state of moral values in the U.S. How would you rate the overall state of moral values in this country today as excellent, good, only fair, or poor? And this was something that was done. I believe that was either March or May. It was like probably about 24 days or something like that, and they were taking a census of would you rate it excellent, good, only fair, or poor? And you can see here 54% poor as of May 2023, 33% only fair, and 11% as excellent or good. All right. Throughout the trend, Americans have been more negative than positive in the views of the nation's moral values. So now if you type in, right, if you type in, let's see, if you type in women at the beach in the 1950s, let's say. Let's go to images. See, even though they're still showing some leg, they're more covered up. And this is when the moral value started to decline too, especially in the 60s, you know, with their so-called free love and all that BS. But women were more covered up. Let's see. Let me type in, what about let's see if they have anything for the 30s. I don't know if these are actually from the 30s or the 50s. But as you see, like right here, this is the 30s. This is beach fashion. Now, although they're showing a little bit of skin, they're covered up. You can see, you know, they got stuff all the way down, skirts, dresses all the way down to their, you know. And even at the beach, as you can see here, I don't know if this one. Yeah, this is a swimsuit. Right. So even though they showing some skin, but if you look at it, they're more covered up than these women today. You know, even though they're still showing some skin. Now let's type in women at the beach in the, let's say, 2000s. Let's see what happens. Look at this. Showing every goddamn thing. You know, so it's a lot more revealing than it was back then. A lot more skin that they're showing today than they did back then. As you can see, you know, you can see the ass, you can see the titties. Look at that. So the moral values of this country have been waxing worse and worse as we read in this article. And that goes hand in hand with Revelation chapter 17. All right. And I'm going to read the main point before I go back up. Revelation 17:5. And upon her forehead was a name written, mystery. Because, matter of fact, before we read that, let's go to Revelation chapter 13 and verse 1. And let me see something. I believe that appears in here a little bit more. Yep. Revelation 13 and 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. This beast represents all of the major empires of Esau and their allies, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And what is blasphemy? It's pretty much, slandering the Lord's name, slandering his word, slandering his son, slandering the angels, slandering the Israelites. Let's go. It's injurious. It's injurious speech and trying to put a blot on someone's good name. And that's what them small hats are doing over there in the land of Israel. Let's go real quick. Let me hold on to this. Just hold on to this, and then we'll come back to it. I just want to get that word blasphemy, make that point, and then we can come back. Matter of fact, we'll put that there. Blasphemia, slander, see, detraction, speech injurious to another's good name. And by them saying that they are a Christo-Judean society, and they're not, because look at the morals. Because when you read the scriptures don't say for women to dress like that. Scriptures speak about women being dressed in modest apparel, but they don't do that here. Matter of fact, let's get there real quick, but let me read this part. Let me get it and then come back to this. 1 Timothy 2. And let's come back. All right. Let's go to the 5th verse. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. Yeah. And that's America, which just goes hand in hand with the scripture in Daniel 7, the 7th chapter, when it speaks about the little horn, with the mouth or something along those lines. It says, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. And they did. This is during the time of slavery. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High. And don't they do that? They say, if you type in right now on your Google search engine or your Bing or your Opera or your Safari or any of those search engines, if you type in the word God, you type in the word Jesus, you're going to get pictures and images of so-called white men, so-called white people. All right? You're not going to get the images of the Lord, and you're going to get them looking like moles and scantily clad and, all kind of flesh showing. It says, and he opened his mouth. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High to blaspheme his name. And we see that going on today, calling the Heavenly Father's name all kind of different names, except for his true name, Yahweh. And then when we bring that out, let's say we were just bugged out. We didn't know what the hell we were talking about. We don't, we just making this stuff up. Why are they paying prominent groups out there to not teaching those names, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai? Because the very first thing that happened with, the ICGJC, when Comfy took over when he took over the leadership role, was what? They first took the Most High's son's name out, Yahweh Shai. We're not going to call him Yahweh Shai anymore. We're going to call him Bun Yahweh, right? Then not too long after that, they took the Most High's name, Yahweh, out. Why is that? If those are not the names of the Lord, if we're just bugged out, then why not allow those names to be taught? Why not allow those names just to, just to prove how bugged out we are? Let those names just be out there. You see? But there's something about those names that these devils don't like, because the scriptures say that the name of the Lord is a terror to these devils. I can't think of the scripture right now. I know it's in Malachi, the 1st chapter, the 14th verse. I can't think of the quote right now. But, the Lord's name is dreadful among the heathen. All right? So they blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. You type in angels right now, you're going to see pictures of Edomites. You're going to see pictures of baby Edomites, butt naked, and then they'll say that those are the cherubims, when the word cherubim itself means mighty ones. When you look at an Edomite baby, so-called baby angel, you don't think of something that's terrible and powerful or mighty. You look at that shit is not a threat. That shit is demonic. You know? So let's go to Isaiah chapter 26, verse 10. Let favor be shown to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly. And these devils shown, by their actions that they're not worthy to run a country based upon the values of the scriptures. They're not worthy to do that. How do we know? Well, they already had the opportunity and they blew it. And even now that they finally have control of the land of Israel, they're not doing justice there. In the land of uprightness, which is the land of Israel, will he deal unjustly. And that's exactly what they're doing. And will not behold the majesty of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Why? Because they are the wicked. Bottom line, period. So going back to Revelation 17 and 5, and upon her forehead, which is who? America, Babylon the Great, was the name written. Mystery. Babylon the Great, the biggest conglomeration of confusion, because the name Babylon itself goes back to the Hebrew word Babal. In the English is Babel. In the Hebrew is Babal, which means confusion. And Babylon the Great because it's the greatest conglomeration of confusion. Because you have everything from every nation that's evil and wicked all amalgamated into one here in America, on the shores of America. The mother of harlots. What does it mean by, what is a harlot? A harlot is a woman that sells her goods. When you bow down to different idols, different religions, you become a harlot. You Israelites, you become a harlot to the Most High. So in America, which claims to be a Christo-Judean society, they allow you to have freedom of religion. It's in the Constitution. Freedom of religion means you could worship anything. You could read and believe in any book. You could worship anything. You want to be a Satanist, you could be a Satanist. You want to worship a rock, you could worship a rock. You could do and be whatever you want to be here, as far as your religious beliefs are concerned. So that's why this is known as the mother of harlots. It says, and abominations of the earth. And the mode lifestyle is an abomination. You can read Leviticus 20 and 13. So these are some of the reasons why the Lord is going to destroy this place, because of the picture that they painted of being this moral society based upon the principles of God. But then when you look at their actions go totally contrary to what the scriptures say. And that's why that individual, I don't know his name. I know he mentioned his name before, but I don't know his name. He was going in just on the fact of the woman itself and how they claim to, have women's rights and women's lib and all this, to help women out. But they're really hurting women by giving them that mindset that they have today. And actually, when they over-sexualize these women, they're really destroying a woman's value, because a woman's most valuable asset is her virginity. Once she loses that, she has no more value after that, except if she's married to the one man and she provides him children. She provides, the cooking and the cleaning and the guiding of the house, taking care of the children. These are all values that a woman holds. But her most valuable asset is her virginity. You see? But in this society, they pretty much, pressure these women to give that up and to be promiscuous. They get it from their mama. They get it from their grandmama, their aunties, their cousins, all of that. Play the field. Don't understand that every time you lay down with a different man, you're cheapening yourself more and more. And you're setting yourself up for destruction. So this is just one out of many reasons why the Lord is going to destroy this place. And you so-called black women, which are the tribe of Judah, you are supposed to be the leading example to these other women on how to be. And what do? You're just as immoral and depraved as these devils. And you're helping push that depraved, immoral spirit on the rest of these women of the other tribes and of the world. Because when it comes to setting trends, you're the trendsetter, tribe of Judah. See? So when we go back up to the top, it says, and they came, verse 1, and they came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. All right. So there's a judgment coming to this place. And the Spirit, last night I was tired, feeling a little run down. And like I said, I was watching Oppenheimer, just trying to wind down before I went to bed. And as I was watching it, I was listening to them talking. And there was one thing that the scientists / physicists, which J. Robert Oppenheimer was one of them, were discussing. And one of the things that they were discussing, I don't think I have the pictures anymore. I got rid of them. I'm like Quick Draw McGraw, I send it out and I get rid of it. But let me see if I could find right here, right? This was like towards the beginning of the movie, probably, when J. Robert Oppenheimer, which is a small hat, was talking to another small hat scientist, and the other scientist told him, you're talking about turning theory into a practical weapons system. So what's that? The theory of taking, quantum physics and all that stuff that they were working on to create this missile, which is why the Lord, said that he created the smith that blew off the coals in the fire, which is a representation of the modern day smiths or the modern day weapon makers, which are the scientists and physicists. All right. So they took the theory, because the Lord was plaguing this devil, Oppenheimer, into seeing all different type of things, because he was working on that devil's mind to help, along with them other scientists and physicists, to come together to create this destructive weapon that was going to be the ultimate judgment that was going to be brought upon this world. Because remember, the first earth was destroyed by water, and the Lord said that he will never again destroy the earth by water, because you will still have you still have the crops and everything, and the fall and everything, the seasons, and food and everything. But he never said that he wouldn't destroy this place by water. So that was the first death. And the second death, which is spoken of in the book of Revelation, is this fire, or this nuclear fire, that's going to be used to cleanse this earth. All right. So that's the judgment that's going to be brought upon this whore. And the many waters, when you read the 15th verse, is talking about all these different nations. And there's a reason why America is known as a great melting pot. What is it? Is that Ellis Island, where the Statue of Liberty is on? And they brought a lot of so-called immigrants from all over the world here to the Americas, and assimilated them into the American society. All right. It says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. So the leaders of these nations have committed fornication with America. Why? And how is that? They got in bed with her to receive monetary gain and business opportunities. But in turn, they had to push these immoral ways upon the world. And America offers them money and offers them, business opportunities, but they have to, turn around and accept the policies of America. And some nations ain't having the policy of that mode lifestyle, so they'll turn America down. But on the other hand, when it comes to financial things, they will accept the MOTB, which is a micro CHIP, because, to them, that's not immoral. See, because to them, that is the advancement. Just like you had at one time, you had paper money, you had, gold, silver coins, so on and so forth. Then it transitioned into digital currencies, your cryptocurrencies and all that. So everybody's shifting in the direction of the currency, because currency, which is a current, like a current of a river, which is what drives the water in that direction. So the currency or this digital system is a new currency or the new wave that's going to usher in the economy of the future. Okay. It says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. And one of the things that they've done was create an environment of immorality. Okay. Now, when we go back, let's go back to Isaiah 14. And I'll start at 11, the main point. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, meaning your pride. And no nation is more proud than Esau. Second up is Moab, but the most proud nation is Esau. All right. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, meaning you're going to be humiliated. You're going to be humbled by Yahweh, by Shemel Shai. And the noise of thy vials, which is what? This lousy music that you pushed around the world. And also your immoral ways that you pushed upon the world, that Babylon juice. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. So the worm spread under thee represents what? Corrosion. All right. It represents corrosion. Now you could use it physically for the corrosion of the infrastructure, your roads, your bridges, your buildings, so on and so forth, falling apart. But it goes deeper than that also in the immorality that you're pushing upon the earth. You see? So that's how you've corroded, the so-called glory or the so-called shining light or the so-called golden city. You've corrupted or corroded it in that fashion. Let's look up this word worms real quick. So it's Ramah. Every time you look it up, it's the word Ramah and then Thalai. So let's look up the word Ramah, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's the elder Ramah's name, Ramah, which is worm. If it's not, he can, let me know it's not. Maggot worm as cause of a sign of decay. So it could be a sign of decay physically or morally. You see? And what is decay? For those of you that don't know, the word decay is an organic matter rot or decompose through the action of bacteria and fungi. All right. It's a decomposure, like when you see a dead animal or a dead person and the worms from within start to eat them out. You see flies dropping maggots and all that. They're eating that body. That body is decomposing. So physically, America's decomposing through the infrastructure falling apart, but morally, they're decomposing by the immoral ways that they've pushed upon the world. And you could just see it. Every movie damn near every movie that's out now, when you watch it, they pushing some type of alphabet agenda, Mo agenda, lesbo agenda, the adultery, so on and so forth. All right. Now let's look up the other one. Matter of fact, you know what? It says Rawam. I know rum is exalted. Hold on, let me go back. Up, exalt, right. So Rawam or rum is exalt, but then Rama, which is worm, is to be humbled or to decay. All right. So let's look up the other one, worms. The word there is thawalai. Thawalai. Right, worm, scarlet stuff, crimson. So now here it says, what is it? Yalai devoureth. Right. So you're being devoured physically and morally, and you're going to be devoured by those missiles. And consequently, the Manhattan Project, which was named after Manhattan, first was named Manhattan District, And the word Manhattan means place where we get the bow, or find the bow, or something like that. And the bow meaning the wood that was used for the bow and arrow, right? But the bow is a representation also of your missile system, because not only did they have to fuse these different, atoms together, nucleuses, whatever, however the terminology goes, but they also had to find a way to have a place where these missiles are shot from, and also a delivery system. Back then, during World War II, they just made the mechanism and put them in planes. The Enola Gay was one of them, that actually dropped the bombs. But today they have places in the ground, above ground, in submarines that actually fire these missiles, that have a delivery system behind them to propel them from one point to the other. As it says in Second Ezra, I believe that's 15 or 16, the arrows that begin to be shot from the end of the world. All right. And that's the way that the Lord is going to destroy this place. For what? For its immorality. Now, I mentioned this scripture earlier. Let's get it real quick. 1 Timothy 2:9. Dealing with just the sense of these women, just showing all type of flesh out here. 1 Timothy 2:9. In like manner also that the women adorn themselves in modest apparel. See? With shamefacedness and sobriety, not with braided hair or gold or pearls or costly array. But here in America, they teach these women from a very young age to dress like harlots. Now, this scripture is dealing with, this is our Revelation, Proverbs chapter 7. This is dealing with false philosophies, right? But you could also apply it, so you could understand these false philosophies are compared to prostitutes, harlots. Proverbs 7:10. And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtile of heart. Okay. And that's how a lot of these harlots are. They have, the attire of a harlot, which they're showing all type of flesh, which is pretty much the when you think about America, that's one of the things you think about. Women scantily dressed. And that was the representation of the woman in the vision that the Apostle John saw, and he marveled at that because he was taken by it, But and that's why the angel cursed him out. And the scripture said that if at all possible, Yahweh Shai said, if at all possible, they would deceive the very elect, because it's going to be that seductive, that impulsive, that alluring. Remember, these devils come subtle. They don't come to you, with their true intentions. So they're going to paint the picture for the benefit of the world. So, okay, so that's it. Let me look up the word modest. Cosmos, which is where you get the word cosmetics, or you get the word arrangement. Okay. Well arranged, seemly, modest. Okay. Decorous. In other words, of good behavior. In other words, covered up. Modest. Unassuming or moderate in the estimation of one's ability or achievements. That's one definition. Dressing or behaving so as to avoid impropriety or indecency, especially to avoid attracting sexual attention. In this society, they teach women to dress like that. When you do, that's why some of these women, like a Stacey Lattisaw, right? She's a singer from the 80s, and she was a great singer. She was a great voice. She's still alive, I believe, and she's a great singer. But they wanted her slowly but surely to start stripping away her clothes and start, dressing more, sexy and all that, and she wasn't having it. So she left the music business because of that. You see? But they want to over-sexualize these women. because that's the message, and that's the image that they're pushing on the world, to be depraved, especially among Jake. All right. So let's go back to Revelation 17:2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk. Oh, matter of fact, Salaki, before I go there, let's go to Isaiah 47 and 3, the main point. It says, thy nakedness shall be uncovered. So this is twofold. This is dealing with, the way that you got the world and your shame being uncovered, being revealed by the Lord through his prophets. But it's also, the so-called moral standards that you had at one time, now they're devalued. And it's being shown in the woman, which is the weaker vessel. Because women at one time were covered head to toe, right? But now they're uncovered head to toe. And there's some cities, some states where women are allowed to walk around, butt naked if they wanted to, or with their shirts off, with their breasts hanging out. This demon, Erica Badu, she did a video where she was walking. I believe that was in DC, if I'm not mistaken. And she was walking, and as she was walking, she was taking her clothes off, and eventually she took everything off. She took her bra off. She took her panties off, left everything, and she just walking down the street butt naked. And they didn't come arrest her. At one time, if you took off some of your clothes, they would arrest you for indecent exposure. But now that's not the case. Now they applaud that. They encourage that behavior, because that's the behavior, that's the mind state that the so-called elite want the average person in, especially Jake. All right. Salaki, for 1 minute, I gotta check something. I had this yautía cooking on the stove, which is root vegetables. Those of you, Brother Benjamin, know. Ephraim know. Some of the other tribes know. Levi, about that stuff, the taro root. So it says that nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. Right? Because at one time, what do you think when women, like if you walk in a room and a woman, and you're like a stranger, and a woman sees you and she's naked, she starts covering herself up. Because it's a shame for a man to see a woman's nakedness unless she is his woman. It's a shame for another man to see a woman's nakedness that is not his woman. So they will cover up. Today they don't. They lost that shamefacedness. They lost that shame. And that's why it says that a shameless woman shall be counted as a dog. And what is a female dog? A bitch. You see? It says, I will, and then, there's these women today, especially the black women, are fucking horrible. There's one, there was this video, short, I think it was. And there's one bit, actually, Jeremy something show. You brothers know what I'm talking about. And he showed this bitch. And then she was, eating what she called pig dick, right? She was blowing somebody's rod, and her man came knocking on the window, and then she talking shit to him. What are you doing? I'll be in there in a minute. Can't you see I'm eating? But these women have no fucking shame at all, and that's the spirit that these devils are pushing on the world, and that's why these nations are not having that. These other nations like Ishmael and some of these other, more manly, nations are not having that. They're not going to have their women acting like that, because they'll take them out. They'll remove them off the planet. That shit is not tolerated. but it's starting to catch on in the world. And that's why when them women of the other nations come here, they figure that, oh, I'm free now. And they'll do the shit that the American women do, not knowing that they're cheapening their value, just like these hoes over here in the Western Hemisphere. It says, I will take vengeance and I will not meet thee as a man. Right. So because Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is coming to do damage to this place. And that's why he gave them, these devils, that technology of the missiles, which is their blessing, the sword, which Isaac, which is Yahushai, if you could receive it in the spirit, which is Yahushai, Isaac, which is Yahushai in the reincarnation. You know, he gave them the blessing back then during the time of, you know, Jacob, during the time of Esau, actually. And he's coming back now to take it back. He's going to use the same blessing he gave them to destroy them. How about that? You know? What else do I have? So that was the main point. They're going to be destroyed for this behavior. And real quick before I end it, you see CERN, this is their logo, and this is thinly disguised 666. Just like the Google, right? It's all 666, which is the number of the beast. All right. And they're using that to, you know, to channel demons, because remember, these devils operate on the left-hand side. They're trying to call spirits, you know, to keep their society going. That's why. And then that this is also the headquarters of CERN that's in Switzerland, right? They have Shiva, which is the destroyer of worlds, you know. That's Shiva right there. And this is CERN, you know, and they do channel demons, you know. Now, what they say, they got portals, this and that. Well, you do have hot spots on the planet where these devils know that there's demonic activity going on. That's why they build things like Stonehenge, so on and so forth. And they have something called ley lines. Ley lines are you know, spots on the earth where there's, you know, divine or demonic activity going on. Come on, man. I didn't write that shit down, asshole. Okay. Try one more time. Why is it doing that? Ley line. The idea that ancient sacred sites might have been constructed in alignment with one another was proposed in 1846 by the Reverend Edward Duke, who observed that some prehistoric monuments and medieval. Just give me the. And you know, nowadays they're gonna deny it. You're gonna have those, you know. But you know, you could do the research when you get a chance. A supposed straight line connecting three or more prehistoric or ancient sites, sometimes regarded as a line of a former track and associated by some with lines of energy and other paranormal phenomena, right? And they say, well, that's, you know, that's supposed. Well, when we go back to our forefather Jacob, right, they have something called Jacob's ladder. I'm just going to end it with this here. And this is another reason why the Lord is going to destroy this place. Genesis 28 and 10. And Jacob went out of from Beersheba and went toward Haran, and he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place and put them for his pillow, and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of the Most High ascending and descending on it. See, so that was what? That was like a ley line or a hot spot for, so-called paranormal or angel activity. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am Yahweh, the power of Abraham thy father, and the power of Isaac. The land wherein thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed, because that is the promise that the Lord made to Abraham through Isaac, through Jacob. That's why it ends with Jacob. It says, and behold, I am with thee, and I will keep thee in all places whither thou goest, and will bring thee again into this land. For I will not leave thee until I have done that which I have spoken to thee of. And Jacob awaked out of his sleep, and he said, surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of the Most High, and this is the gate of heaven. All right, so you do have certain places on the planet that have that spiritual connection, and that's why these devils, they'll pick certain places that have a higher demonic vibration to push their incantations on. You see, it's not that hard, but them devils know. Remember, they said that they're wiser than Daniel. All right. But anyways, with that, I'm going to end it there. I pray that you brothers, and a few sisters have been edified. Until the next time I say, Shalom.